Hello everyone, my name is Fraser Waldron, and in this video I want to talk about how doing your best, trying your best in all situations is the advantageous path to take, even if it's something you're doing that you don't find particularly fun or meaningful. It's always the best idea to do your best, and this is going to give you two things. One, it's going to give you better outcomes across like work, relationships, family, etc. But it's also going to give you peace of mind, which is, I think, almost even more important. And let me give you an example to illustrate this. So when I was in university, I was an athlete and I got my school paid for, which was lovely. And I was in Canada and I was playing Canadian rules football. So like, the helmet, the shoulder pads, like the American football. And this was a great experience. I loved it. No regrets. Everything was lovely. But I did not try my best when it came to the school side of it. On the actual sports side, I was, all in. I was committed. On the socializing, going out at night, I was number one. But I did not take school as seriously as I should have. And I did the math in my mind. I said, well, if I just get like decent marks, then that'll propel, if I get the degree, that'll be enough to move forward in my career. Like it was enough to get me there in my mind. And that was actually true. Like I got the degree. My marks really didn't matter to go into policing, for example, which is what I ended up doing. As long as you have the degree, you'll get in. So in my mind, it logically made sense, but I didn't anticipate that I would actually regret this decision. So in my last year, we had our year-end banquet and all the teams were there. So basketball, volleyball, track and field, etc., guys and girls. And the male athlete of the year, or whatever it's called, it was like the MVP or the most valuable athlete or whatever, the GOAT of that year, was a basketball player who was a friend of mine who I knew well. And I'd always noticed that he was like always in the library. He came out with us on occasion, but he wasn't like staying out till like 4 a.m. I saw him in the gym because it was in our training facility. He's, shooting free throws, at all hours of the day. And I was like, guy's really committed. Like I see you, And I appreciated that. But again, that wasn't my vibe. I was like, I'm sports, but I'm not so much school because, I can get good marks, decent marks, if I just kind of try halfway. I don't need to show up to everything, etc. And in his speech, he did like a little acceptance speech. He said a line which hit me. And it was a line from Aristotle. I'm just going to read it here. It's, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And for some reason, that just pierced me like a gun, like a spear. And I was like, like excellence. Am I excellent? Like the virtue of excellence. Like, am I implementing that? Because I might be good at, let's say, like the sports side, but I'm not like that in other domains of my life. Even like relationships, friends. Am I an excellent friend? Are my habits with my family and friends deriving excellence? And I thought, I actually don't think so. And so I kind of was like, oh man, I'm kind of like a piece of garbage in my mind. Of course, I don't recommend saying that to yourself, but just gave me a sense of like deep regret. Like I was like, I've just thrown away years of opportunity to be my best self, to be the best version of myself. And I remember maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, we had our graduation ceremony with like all the other students. And I remember my mom was there and she's a hardcore lady. She's like farm girl. Academics are like the show, like she was super good in university, like just the smartest lady on the planet kind of thing. And my dad is also a grinder. He works like 6 days a week, never took 2 weeks off in his life, like just like the people that keep society alive, And I'm very proud of them for that. But I just realized like they were trying their best all the time. So when I thought of that line that guy gave me and how he actually implemented that and how I respected him for that in the past, like when I would see him studying or like not going out to the party super late, I was like, like just subconsciously, I was like, that guy's like legit. I was like, no one's thinking of me like that. And then when I saw my parents, I was like, like I perceive them as these like high status people, not in society per se, but just like I appreciate the virtue that they've expelled, that excellence of just like showing up, doing your best no matter what the circumstance. And so as I got my degree, I shook the hands with the dean or whoever it was, or whoever gives you the little paper or whatever. And as I walked across the stage, I kind of looked and I saw my mom and she was like clapping and she had like the big smile, like, it looked like she had like a fucking plate in her mouth. Like it's just like, just smiling and just so proud. And I thought, I'm so embarrassed. Like I wasn't happy at all. I was super embarrassed because I thought, shit, like she thinks I've tried my best, but I know I haven't, She thought like that B I got in that one class was because that's my maximum capacity. It's not. I could have gotten an A or maybe not, who knows? But in my mind, at least I could have. And so when I like we went out for the night and it's like celebration, like congratulations. And I was like, I'm trash. That's not good. Like I could have been excellent, but I was not. And so I carried this for years. And when I went to policing, I just leveraged into it and I did the opposite. So we had a 6-month or 7-month training program, you get like a little diploma at the end. And I was like, no matter what happens, regardless of outcome, I don't care if I'm the best or the worst, but I will grind through this so amazingly well. Like, I'm going to put 100% in, like 100% attention, 100% effort. Now, I'm not talking about like staying up till 5 in the morning and burning yourself out. I'm just saying like I'm giving it my all for performance. So that might mean, resting a lot too, but I'm 100% in. I'm not 90% in, I'm 100% in. And interestingly, I spent lots of time doing like the use of force. I'd stay late, like when I was studying the criminal code, I'd, double check, etc. And I put my full weight behind that. And at the end of that 7 months or 6 months, whatever it was, I ended up being the valedictorian of the class, which was good, right? And I thought, oh, it's not even about being the best person in the class, because arguably I was not. It's that I was proud of myself because I put myself on the line. I said, I'm gonna not fuck around and I'm just gonna do it. And then all of a sudden, you maybe just felt it there. That kind of like, I'm gonna fucking do it. That was embedded in my mind because I saw that the outcome was good. And then when my parents came to the graduation and they were like, like the mom was doing the big smile, like the pizza plate smile. When I walked up, I was like, I am proud of myself because I have embodied this excellence, and that makes that's good. And so when they were like, we're proud of you, I was like, thank you, and I could accept that compliment because I was proud of myself, if that makes sense. And so now in every scenario I go into, as much as possible, I do that. And so if it's in a relationship, I'm like, how can I help? Like, I'm listening to you. Tell me. I'm all in because I want to make sure that I'm the best version of myself for you. If it's my job, regardless of the work that I'm doing, whether I like it or not, as much as possible, because of course I'm not perfect, but in most scenarios, when I sit down to do a task, I'm like, I'm in it. I'm right here. And we're gonna do this task because I'm gonna try my best. Regardless of outcome, I can fail, doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, when I go home, even if I've failed at something, I've just blown the tires off, like it's just a disaster. I know that I've tried my best, and I know that I'm orientated towards the highest good, or God, let's say, or the sunum bonum. But I'm orientated towards being for others, which is my personal philosophy. So as long as I've been orientated towards my highest good, and I've tried my best, then I can have essentially no regrets. And I literally don't. I remember, for example, I was working in a country in South Asia. So let's say India, Pakistan, Bangladesh-ish kind of countries. I won't say which one. And I was trying to do a really crazy mission with Interpol. And it was difficult to do and it's politically sensitive. So it took me like 6 months of like networking within this country, within their federal police force, within their law enforcement body and ministries to get like approval for this like sensitive operation we wanted to run for 2 weeks. And at the end of it, like I was getting yeses across the board. And I put like my soul into this because I was really motivated. We could save people, some vulnerable people in this country. And so it was I was easily motivated. And I was like, I'm gonna try my best. And then at the final meeting, which is common in South Asia sometimes yeses mean no the whole time, you just don't realize it. And in the final meeting, we brought all the heavy duty Interpol people in to have like this meeting where, it's like a formal kind of sign off, like a Zoom call essentially, but we bring the senior people in to, show respect, et cetera. It's kind of a formality. And in that meeting, all the senior people of this South Asian country were like, you're not doing the operation. Like, you never asked us, which is good. Like, they just lied essentially. They're like, you never asked us. Like, no requests have been submitted. Like, and I just got absolutely destroyed. And so I didn't know that was going to happen. And in front of all these super senior peers, I got roasted. And it was so bad that no one even called me after. Like, my boss at the time, my supervisor, was he didn't even text me being like, yo, that was terrible, bro. It was just a savage destruction. So what ended up happening was I went back and I figured it out, and a couple months later, we actually did that mission, and it was successful. But the key point was that even though it was probably a top 5 embarrassing moment for me professionally, I wasn't actually too upset about it. I kind of flipped it, I reframed it, which is a technique I use, but I reframed it to be kind of funny. I was like, wow, that's I tried my best and got just absolutely shit canned. I just got blown out of the water. But I was happy with myself because I was orientated towards the highest good, which I was trying to save people and do a good operation that would benefit the world. And I also had put my whole heart into it, even though it was crappy work, calling people, trying to get yeses, bureaucratic shit. It's not fun. But I was like, I've tried my best. There's no regrets here. What a funny outcome. Now, of course, I obviously was sad at the moment, but I ended up fixing it and it worked out and we saved some people. It was lovely. But the point of that story was that in all of these scenarios, when I'm grinding like that, I have zero regrets. And I'll say one more thing too, where I can extrapolate that to other people, not just myself. When I'm coaching football, because after I played, I coached. And I always coach like 15 to 18-year-old boys. And, I'm 2 or 3 years in each city because I travel all over the world and all over the place all the time. So I'll spend 2 or 3 years in each jurisdiction. So I get to know kids who are like in grade 12, going off to university. And it's been like 15 years now. So a lot of them are like deep into their careers now. Like they're men, And on the team, there's always like 2 or 3 out of 30 who are like me. Who have learned the skill set way before I did. Like, maybe it took me till I was like 21, 22, but for them at like 15, they're grinders, right? And I'm always like, wow, this kid's like usually our best player, not by skill, but just by like, contribution, let's say. Usually they're leaders on the team too. People want to follow them. When people see people going all in, it inspires them to try harder too. So you help people around you when you're like this. And like, I sometimes have a twitch because when I'm coaching, I'm all in. Like I'm there to help those kids. Like I'm going to fucking die on the hill for these little bastards, right? Because if I'm not all in, how do I expect you to be all in, right? Like if I'm not prepped, like how do I expect you to like perform, right? So I'm going to be 100% and then I demand that you give me 100% back. That's kind of the reciprocity deal. But they can feel that intensity and I think they go, ooh, so I usually have good rapport with kids. And there's always 2 or 3 that have that mindset for whatever reason, good parents or like maybe just luck, that have that mindset innately. They're trying the hardest in the drills. They're there on time. They never miss practice. They don't like screw up. Like they're not drinking the night before the game and get caught and get busted and get expelled from school. Like they're all in. They're excellent. Their activities, their habits are excellent. They're focused where they are. I'm not saying that they burn themselves out either. I'm just saying like when they're there, they're there. They're not fucking around. And I notice anecdotally, again, this is no scientific pure paper, those kids, when I follow, because I always try to follow kids for years and years and years, I send them that once a year message on Instagram or whatever, and they'll be like, oh, I'm in university, I was top of my class, I went to law school, oh, I'm a heavy duty mechanic, but I was like, promoted, like, etc. And I'm like, oh, of course those kids have made it. So I'd say now I've got an anecdotal set of people where I've noticed that skill set, that full attention, that trying your best in all scenarios, even scenarios you don't like, have led to outsized outcome returns. And the people I see who are not like that, who maybe love the sport, like I love football, but don't put the work in, they don't do well after the sport, in the sport itself, but also just in life in general. I notice they drift. So if you're one of those people that you're like, I'm 90, like me, like you're 90% in at work. If you just put in like 1 to 2% more attention, I'm not even saying like work the fingers off your bone or bone off your fingers. I'm not saying don't kill yourself because you want to be performed over time. But I am saying like, do you bring that kind of level of intensity where like you're showing up and putting your best foot forward all the time? Because I've noticed that in my career specifically, just doing that has opened up doors for me repeatedly. It's almost like the more attention I give, the more luck I receive. It's that like Jefferson quote, like the harder I work, the more luck I have kind of thing. It's very true. And I've been in some weird, let me tell you, I've been in some weird places around the world because I think I grind the most and I've got that attention all in. So I think it's 100% worth it just on the basis of outcomes will be better for you, whatever your goals are, whatever your vision is. And then also, even if I've catastrophically failed, like the example I gave before with the diplomatic incident, let's say, I have no regrets. No regrets because I tried my best and I've been oriented towards my highest good. I'm not doing something that isn't meaningful to me. So because I've got those two, my life is usually pretty good. And when I look back, I don't have stress. I don't have that regret of the past. And I usually don't have anxiety about the future either necessarily, because I know that if I bring that excellence to whatever scenario I'm in, I'm probably going to be okay. And we're all going to die anyway, so what's the point? I'm kidding about that. But that element bleeds into the future. So it takes away my anxiety in the future. It takes away that regret in the past. And then it just essentially just allows me to continue to focus on the moment. So for me, that's a good framework for life to an extent. So that's it. What do you think? Am I onto something or am I totally off the wagon here? I'd love to get your feedback on this. But regardless, I'll catch you on the next video and I hope your day is good.